Hey guys, Steve here, and last time we completed a run of Pokemon Blue with only a Lapras. This run is going to be Omanyte. Yes, that's right, everyone's favorite deity. Omanyte is an interesting Pokemon, made famous from the 2014 sensation of Twitch Plays Pokemon. Here's just a few memes created from the occasion. For those of you not in the know, Twitch Plays Pokemon had a Twitch chat that picked the buttons of a game of Pokemon. The Helix fossil happened to be the top of the inventory a lot, and it was clicked many times. So it became a meme to consult the Helix fossil whenever the character got stuck. In theory, Omanyte should actually be pretty good. Its weaknesses aren't all that commonly used, but it's held back by its speed and low HP. The rules are going to be the same as they always are. They will be located in the description section of this video, or pause the screen if you'd like to see them. All 3 Easter eggs were located in the last video. This video will also have 3. Here are the comments that found the Easter eggs from the last video. I am writing this script after the run. Please try and guess in the comment section what kind of final time and level you think it will take, and what part you think will be the hardest. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay up to date on future videos. If you want to help this channel grow, please comment, "Praise Lord Helix" for the YouTube algorithm. Or if you're a Dome guy, I serve the Dark One. First off, we're going to start the game by grabbing our level 5 Omanyte and replacing Squirtle with the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to make sure Champ has a Venusaur. Being quadruple weak to grass moves will make Venusaur the hardest starter for us to deal with. Vine Whip early on is still very difficult to deal with, and Razor Leaf might as well be a one-hit KO move. I give it the nickname Lord Helix, which seems pretty appropriate for this run. I set Game Hook to give Omanyte perfect DVs before starting. The first champ battle is an easy one. Even though Water Gun doesn't do a whole lot of damage to Bulbasaur, it can't do anything to us. One of the benefits of being Rock type is resistance to normal type moves, the most common in the game. The other benefit is that Growl only decreases physical moves, so our Water Gun is totally unaffected. Now, even though Brock would be extremely easy, I make sure to battle every trainer except for Rival 1A, and I'll get to why shortly. Next up is Brock, and he's just too easy. Water Gun is very overpowered against him. Neither Geodude or Onix can withstand one Water Gun at this level. Now back to the training I mentioned before. Misty is going to require loads of training to defeat. In preparation for this run, I watched Scott's Thoughts Fossil Race, and he had to train all the way to level 25 in order to beat her. Now, for this run, I'm not gonna lie, this is actually my 3rd attempt at this run. In the first run, I tried to beat Misty without Bide because I sold it in pewter like I usually do. Turns out, that was never going to happen, and after about 20 resets, I gave up and started over. Then I did another run and left out some of the more difficult trainer battles and tried Misty at level 25 with Bide. And we just didn't have enough HP to get through Starmie at any point. I again tried about 20 times and gave up on the run because 20 resets would just be incredibly unwatchable this early in the video. So now we get to this run where I battle every trainer except for the one with Oddish, as well as every single encounter in Mount Moon. As I made it through Mount Moon, I heard a strange sound. I made my way toward this sound. It's coming from the Helix fossil. It's saying, "Please like, subscribe, and comment. Praise Lord Helix." It sounds like sound logic. I pick up Omanyte's brother and make my way toward Champ 2. A nice side effect of all this training is that we arrive at Champ 2 at level 22. So this shouldn't be too difficult. We have a higher level advantage for this one. Pidgeotto is first, and Quick Attack does just nothing. But as you'd expect, it reverts to its sand attacking ways, twice, and luckily only lands 1. Aber can't do anything, but our reduced accuracy isn't being affected yet. Rattata does next to nothing as our Water Gun is able to take it out. For Bulbasaur, I know it has Vine Whip thanks to my display. I start off with a Bide, hoping that the AI doesn't use Vine Whip more than once. Thankfully, it's only a 2-turn Bide, and we don't miss for the KO. That went quite well. I battle all of the trainers except for the one with Slowpoke and the final boss of the route, the trainer with the 2 Oddishes and a Pidgey. I just cannot beat her without Bubble Beam. The Oddish heal back all the damage I can deal with Water Gun thanks to Absorb. Even with all of this extra training, I still have to head west of Cerulean and train the rest of level 26 in the grass. At level 27, I make another attempt and hope that this will just have to do, because that one level cost me 3 minutes of real time on its own, and 2 more levels will just take too long. Now it's time to take on Misty for the first time this run. Our first water gun has done 14 damage. This bodes well, as Staryu only did 6 damage to me. We then get a crit on Staryu, but it then gets a crit in return. Our next water gun takes it out, leaving 46 HP for Starmie. We can't beat Starmie with a water gun, so I start with a Bide, as it's able to get a water gun in first. This leaves us at 35 HP, so in theory we can deal a maximum of 68 damage, and Starmie only has 59 HP. So for Bide to take it out, we need to take enough damage to have 5 HP left. But it doesn't matter, as Starmie gets to attack 3 times and take us out. On the next attempt, we arrive with 51 HP this time. But a bubble beam before Bide puts us at 36. Again, we must take 30 HP for us to win. A slim margin, but for sure possible. After 2 attacks, we're left with 11 HP as Bide goes off. Of course, it's not enough damage and we get taken out with Bubble Beam before I get to even attempt a water gun. On the next attempt, Bubble Beam leaves us at 29 thanks to a crit. So this one is just impossible. Of course, we don't win this one either. Then we're left at 32 for Bide and lose this one. Then we're left at 30 for Bide and lose the next one as well. Then we're left at 26 and lose the next one. But on the next attempt, we're left at 46 as we get our Bide off. The next turn, she uses an X defend, followed by a Bubble Beam crit for 25, and it ends up being a 2-turn Bide. Starmie is now left with 9 HP as our water gun then deals the final 9 damage we need for the win. Now that we've obtained the Bubble Beam TM, we can finally head over to the Oddish Lass and teach her a lesson. As you can see, the Oddish deals massive damage with Absorb, and this is at nearly double the level of Oddish. Luckily, Bubble Beam gives us enough firepower to take it out, and even though it looks like an easy win, imagine if I had taken twice as many attacks because of the reduced power of Water Gun. Now, as we make our way to Champ 3 on the SSN, I make sure to grab the Body Slam TM and fight the Gentleman. I don't particularly need the experience, I just want the money that they give. These guys alone give about 1,000 each, and could help me purchase more vitamins in Celadon. Anyways, Champ 3 is just a joke. We're now level 29, and with Bubble Beam and Body Slam, there isn't a single member of his team that we cannot defeat in more than 2 hits. Ivysaur could probably be scary since it takes 2 attacks. But, as you can see, Vine Whip just can't do enough damage at this level. But trust me, it won't be like that forever. Now for Surge, I know there's no way we could beat him if he was smart, but since Surge is Surge, let's just go ahead and face him now. Voltorb goes down to a single Bubble Beam, Pikachu goes down to a single Slam, although that crit probably didn't matter. Raichu then outspeeds and uses Thunderbolt, and then crits! I have no way of knowing if I can survive a Thunderbolt, so I do another attempt. Raichu then starts with a Thunderbolt and we survive at 31 HP. Body Slam then does a little less than half, so that doesn't bode well for beating Surge this early. Luckily, Raichu then gets fully paralyzed and doesn't get to land another hit, as we get a lucky victory. This is going to be a rather long video, so I'll have to take some time and skip Rock Tunnel. The only trainer of note was the Status Junior trainer with the Oddish and Bulbasaur. But she lives up to her name, and instead of hitting me with good moves, she just poisons me instead. I then head directly to the Celadon Mart to grab Ice Beam and teach it over Bide, which doesn't have any use anymore. Next, I buy 4 Carbos so that I can hopefully outspeed some later obstacles. Now, it's time to head to Rival 4. I don't anticipate this being much of a challenge. The level gap is actually quite large, and this time it's even bigger. Pidgeotto is just but a few Bubble Beams, forgetting about its ice weakness. Gyarados is a few Body Slams, but her attack stat is so low, Ice Beam probably would have been better. Growlithe is easily taken out with Bubble Beam. Kadabra as well with Body Slam. Last is Ivysaur, but it's just not a threat until it evolves. It only uses a Leech Seed, and as usual, Rival 4 is not a challenge. Then, it's time to make our way through Cycling Road and pick up the rare candy and Pipia. After obtaining the vitamins in Surf and Safari Zone, it's time to teach Lord Helix its best water move and work our way towards Koga. Koga's Pokemon for the most part are strong defensively, but with a Stab Surf on our side, it shouldn't be too difficult to take care of them. Even Muck Sludge only does 14 damage, and the next Coughing surprisingly survives the Surf but only uses a useless X attack. Weezing then outspeeds and uses self-destruct, but there's no need for a slow-mo as you already know that our rock typing resists normal moves, and our absurdly high defense stat will ensure that we're not in any sort of danger from this one. I then visit Erica next, but not before taking out all of her trainers with ice beams. None of them survive any hits, so this should mean Erica won't be an issue now, and our level should ensure that we outspeed. Erica, in fact, isn't an issue, as her victory belt only appears to have 50 speed, and we have no issue outspeeding it now. I did check the footage, and even before the Koga badge boost, we still had 59 speed, so we could actually take her on earlier if we wanted. Now, I don't want to take on Champ 5 yet. I know he's going to be hard. Thankfully, since we have a water Pokemon and have no need for Lapras yet, we can actually head south and take on Blaine next. I make sure to clear out all of Blaine's trainers before him, but we already know this one's going to be a joke. Look at our resistances at the bottom of the screen. I double resist his Ember and Fire Blast, as well as a resistance to his takedowns. We're literally a brick wall to the guy. In fact, we don't even get hit, but mostly thanks to a Fire Spin miss. I really didn't account for that one, but it's not very accurate. Now's about the time I'd like to do my creator shoutout. Today's creator shoutout is Squidgy. He does very similar runs to mine, but in Gen 2. He actually just started quite recently and has put out a decent catalog of videos. Here's a short clip of one of his most recent videos that I absolutely loved.
Beauty Victoria, and we try again with Whitney. She sends out the Clefairy, we're level 24, we have a 6 level advantage, it double slaps us, we headbutt it again, and it goes boom. Let's try again, shall we? Headbutt the Clefairy, Synthesis just to troll us, Mean Luck because why not? And we take it down, we're at full health for the Miltank, it starts to roll, it rolls again and it's looking like the same, but then it misses. Milk Drink takes her back up to almost full health and we keep on headbutting this cow. We've got to make it learn its lesson, and we do. We survive with 11 HP, but we get the badge.
Now back to the run. Well, there's nowhere left to go, but with the special badge boost and extra levels, we should hopefully have everything we need to take on Champ 5. Pidgeot is first, and I attempt some surfs to take it out. Of course, it hits me with a sand attack, further complicate things, but I do take it out eventually. For Gyarados, we both miss our first 2 attacks, which is crazy lucky for me. But then, our next 3 attacks all land, resulting in it surviving at 3 HP and taking me out. On the next attempt, I am able to take out Pidgeot without taking a sand attack. Then, for Gyarados, I am able to paralyze it as things start going my way, and 4 body slams are able to deal with it. Growlithe, of course, goes down to a single surf. Alakazam is next, and it's interesting having high special and no weakness to psychic attacks. Confusion doesn't do much, and the next 2 body slams take care of it. Venusaur is last, and it survives the Ice Beam and finishes me off with a critical hit Vine Whip. On the next attempt, I realize that there's a really good spot I can take advantage of the badge boost glitch. As we make our way to Venusaur, you can see in the bottom left that each time I use Withdrawal, our stats all multiply by 12.5%. This is due to a feature that after you obtain each badge, you get a hidden 12.5% boost to your stat for that badge. There are many videos that go over this in detail, but just know that anytime my stats get altered, either up or down, the rest go up by 12.5%. But anyways, these boosts allow us to outspeed both Alakazam and Venusaur and one-hit both of them without issue. Now, with the Saffron Gym opened up, we can then face Sabrina next. I was hoping to be able to one-shot the Kadabra, but unfortunately I do not and have to take a critical hit, Psychic, before Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime isn't much of a threat and goes down to 2 body slams. Next, Venomoth, and Surf nearly takes it out. I then use a body slam for some reason, doing about half. I then decide that since I just leveled up, I could try and badge boost to try and outspeed the Alakazam. But I forget at that moment that paralysis makes that basically impossible, and then I hit it and take it out and hope that I have enough attack to one-shot the Alakazam. I miraculously survive a Psybeam just to find out that the Body Slam isn't close to taking out the Alakazam, as the next Psywave is able to take me out. I then battle 1 extra trainer and come back so that I will level up after Kadabra. Mr. Mime is such a great target to set up withdrawals on because its moveset is not entirely great. It picks moves randomly and many are just status condition moves. Once powered up, I'm able to outspeed and one-shot Mr. Mime. Venomoth and Alakazam without any issues. The only place left to go is Giovanni, and we have a strong water type move, so he shouldn't be much of an issue. Since I had just leveled up, my experience required for the next level up is really high. You can see this as the number next to the level in the bottom left. So this allows me to set up 6 withdrawals and sweep his entire team. Honestly, I doubt I even needed to set up, but it's still good to know that I can finish him off without any issue whatsoever. Champ 6 is next, and this one is usually quite the doozy as we don't have a good move for Gyarados at all. As I set up my 6 withdrawals, take a look at Pidgeot's moveset here. Because we resist normal moves and flying moves, Pidgeot is then forced to pick its only neutrally effective move. It just so happens that that move doesn't deal any damage, allowing us to set up easily. Ice Beam is easily able to take it out afterwards. Rhyhorn is of course a Surf. Gyarados, however, takes about half from our super-powered Body Slam. It then uses a Hydro Pump for a crit, which manages to bypass all of our stat changes. The next Body Slam takes it out. Surf then takes care of Growlithe, but thanks to a level up, Alakazam can then outspeed us and take us out with a Psybeam. I then use a rare candy and come back. Of course, everything up to Alakazam will be much of the same, except I changed my target for withdrawals to Rhyhorn because it could possibly use a Leer and allow me to badge boost even further. The hope is that with enough, I can outspeed everything and one-shot the Gyarados. But I don't get any Leers and everything goes the same, but this time Alakazam is taken out with 2 Body Slams. We then don't level up and are able to maintain our ridiculously high special and easily one-shot the Venusaur. Now, for some reason, I forget to use my rare candies before the league. I mean, who thinks that a level 53 Omanyte is going to fight its way through the entire Elite Four? Now, for the same reason that Pidgeot doesn't use a different move, Dugong will only spam Rest. We resist all of its other moves. This allows me to set up all my withdrawals and finish it off with some Body Slams. Cloyster doesn't really do much with Clamp. Again, that's the only move it's going to use if you look at its moveset. Slowbro has a few choices of moves, but it just doesn't have any strong moves against us. Jinx is next, and I absolutely cannot believe it survived a Surf. I guess I should have used Body Slam, but oh well. But a level up ensures that our lack of good move coverage against Lapras is going to cause us to lose. Our Surf just does next to nothing, and Lapras resists all of our attacks, and our attack is just so low for Body Slam to even do a dent. Even after an absolutely crazy 4 Hydro Pump misses, I still lose. I then use 1 rare candy and run through the gauntlet again. Nothing changes up to Lapras except that we don't level up this time, and we learn that Body Slam on Jinx is not better than Surf. But this time with Lapras, I again test out the ranges of my moves, and if I hadn't used a Body Slam, I would have won. But low HP and powerful Hydro Pumps do eventually get us. But on the very next attempt, I use 3 Surfs, and that's enough to defeat Lapras. The black belt is once again trash, and I don't even need to let go of the A button. Surf just destroys his entire team, and the Machamp gets a chance to attack and wastes it on a focus energy. The Agatha slot machine is next, and I make the attempt at our still brutally low level of 56. She starts off setting us to sleep, but things just seem to continue going poorly as she switches out to Golbat and confuses us. Surf just isn't doing the kind of damage we want. Between sleep and nightshades, we don't survive long. I decide this is a good time to use most of my rare candies and come back at level 62. The next attempt couldn't possibly start any worse as we get put to sleep, have our dreams eaten, and then are confused. Luckily, we fight through everything and get our first 2 Surfs off and take out the Gengar. Golbat is next in one shot with a Surf, but probably because of that crit. Haunter is also a one-shot with Surf, most certainly because of a crit. Arbok is then a good target to set up some badge boosts on. I get 5 withdrawals off, and then I realize that this could go very poorly if I get hit by a Glare. So I take what she gives me and finish off Arbok. This allows me to finish off Gengar with a monstrously high 392 special Surf. Alright, now time for a nice reprieve in Lance. Oh crap, he starts out with a Gyarados. I actually forgot. His Hydro Pump then crits and her Ice Beam is only doing about a third. Hydro Pump then misses and her next Ice Beam does about a third. But of course, the next Hydro Pump then hits. On the next attempt, of course, because he is faster than us and will only choose Hydro Pump, we cannot escape losing without one of those Hydro Pumps missing. This is not one of those attempts. But the next attempt, the first Hydro Pump then misses and we move on to Dragonair. The first Dragonair is then KO'd with an Ice Beam. This means the next one will be as well. Now, for some reason, I decided to use Withdraw for Aerodactyl because I figured that I wanted to outspeed Dragonite and one-shot Aerodactyl. However, I forgot that it had Supersonic. Now, of course, thanks to hitting myself and a flinch, I lose this attempt as well. On the next attempt, Gyarados doesn't miss a Hydro Pump, and I get a Gen 1 miss on Ice Beam. Lovely! Thankfully, on the next attempt, he does get a miss with a Hydro Pump, and we're able to move on to the Dragonairs. Both Dragonairs aren't an issue, as we just outspeed them somehow in one shot with Ice Beam. Then, I just decide that I will just see how much damage Ice Beam is going to do on Aerodactyl anyways. Supersonic is just too scary with this kind of HP. Of course, it's a one-shot as well, and Dragonite then also goes down as it only uses an agility. Well, that was unnecessarily hard. If I had just used Ice Beam instead of Withdraw, I would have won. Now it's time to start the champion battle. Pidgeot doesn't have agility anymore, so I cannot get a free setup on it. So I use Ice Beam to take it out. Alakazam starts with a barrier, reducing my Body Slam's damage by a ton. But I do manage to get through with a lot of attacks. But I take a lot more damage than I am comfortable taking. Rhydon, of course, will allow me to set up my withdraws, and even some extras thanks to 2 Leers. This allows me to do extra damage to Gyarados with my 591 special, unless I of course crit. Luckily, I'm not punished as the Hydro Pump then misses. Arcanine isn't difficult thanks to my speed and Surf. But now I level up and have to 1v1 the Venusaur. It has 3 incredibly effective moves against our Rock-Water type and outspeeds with a Mega Drain. On the very next attempt, I realized that I can use Withdraw on Pidgeot anyways because it will make Alakazam a lot easier. Its flying attacks don't do much damage after all. This allows us an easy knockout of Alakazam. For Rhydon, I waste a bunch of withdraws attempting to stack up badge boost to hopefully one-shot the Gyarados. Looks like with 591 special, Gyarados is indeed a one-shot without a crit. Arcanine once again is a one-shot too. Venusaur then charges up a Solar Beam and our Ice Beam doesn't take it out. Since it's faster than I am, I do not get a chance to attack again as Solar Beam takes me out. On the next attempt, I am taken out with a Mega Drain. Then I remember to teach Blizzard and he charges up for a Solar Beam. This is the exact situation I needed to happen. Blizzard then hits for massive damage, but not enough to get the win. Not even a range. Well, it's time to montage all the following losses. At this level, there's only 2 scenarios that will result in victory. The first, of course, being a Blizzard crit when he uses Solar Beam, but as you can see, it's only 6.84% likely to happen. The next one you can probably tell from a later attempt that Mega Drain doesn't one-shot us from nearly full HP. So if he uses Mega Drain and I hit with a Blizzard, followed by a charge up of Solar Beam and another Blizzard, then I can take it out that way. After a while, I learned that I can use Mimic to take Recover from Alakazam. This allows me to get more HP for the Venusaur battle, allowing for Scenario 2 to have a higher probability. Both scenarios are very unlikely, but after 15 straight losses, we finally get Scenario 2 to happen. The victory is bittersweet as we finish the game at level 66 with 122 real time, 427 game time, and 33 resets. Seeing as this was the 3rd attempt up to Misty and the 1st attempt past Misty, these results are pretty terrible by my standards. First of all, our level is so much higher and it felt absolutely required to be this high. In fact, because of that final level up on Venusaur, we need to be an even higher level. On the bright side, being a water type allows us to choose whichever path we want in the mid-game past Misty. This allows me to pick my battles and time them based on my speed and special that I have at that time. Testing will do a lot of good for us and should save us a bunch of time in the end. For our testing, I actually start off with Rival 1A. Can we beat him after one random encounter? The Pidgey isn't too bad, but a 4-hit isn't that good considering it has a 50% chance to pick Sand Attack. However, it appears Bulbasaur has learned Leech Seed, which will heal everything we do to it. So this extra battle is just unrealistic. Now, last time I fought Champ 2 at level 22, but this time I got less encounters in Mount Moon and arrived at level 21. It appears to be around the same difficulty, where the entire battle seems to go down if Bulbasaur decides to use 2 Vine Whips or not. Now, we simply just don't have enough HP to beat Misty at level 26, but I could test the consistency at level 27. It appears that our very first attempt I get lucky with a 2-turn bide at 3 HP left and win. Then on the next attempt lose because of having low HP and one of the 2 turns of bide being an X-Defend. Then she uses an X-Defend on the turn I use bide, allowing for extra HP to spare. This of course leads to a 3-turn bide and a win. Then an X-Defend 2-turn bide for a loss. Then lastly a 3-turn bide with 2 bubble beams for a win. Although 3 out of 5 seems too good to be true, maybe a 50% win rate at level 27 seems likely, and we just got unlucky the first time around. Next on the slate of things to test is Surge, but it appears that it's still just a 2-shot, no matter how much I can do to change the outcome on this one. I am still slow, but it appears I can survive a Thunderbolt and a Thundershock, so all I have to do is avoid 2 Thunderbolts. Since I need an extra level for the Elite Four, I decide to visit the Rocket Hideout to pick up the 11th rare candy I pretty much always ignore. I was informed by Scott's Thoughts and the GameHook team that GameHook can track your stat XP progress. So now I can actually see in live time which of my stats are on the lower end. So I pick up 1 Carbos and 3 Calcium this time. All the training in Mount Moon has given me a lot of speed and defense stats, so last time I wasn't even able to use the Carbos in the Pokemon Mansion. Stat XP is basically EVs from the later generations, and they're capped out. So it's a good idea to balance the stats and see how it looks toward the end of the practice run. Next up is Koga, but the beginning of the battle is just as easy. I just wanted to show that Koga used an X attack and self-destruct, and it still only managed about half damage. So outside of an evasion miss on Muck, Koga is basically a freebie. His trainers are actually quite a bit more difficult, but I found out Surf does more than Body Slam, so the Drowsy Hypno guy isn't nearly as difficult. Last time I did Erica and Blaine next, but I wanted to see how I stacked up against Champ 5 now. Now, of course the Gyarados does crit, and that's unlucky, but it just doesn't feel like I was ready at this point. There's no reason to take unnecessary risks when there's so much easier parts that I could do instead. Now, of course, nothing has changed from the prior run at Blaine or Erica. The training is really helpful from the gym trainers and got me a lot more extra levels before challenging Champ 5 again. Now that we're at level 45, we're doing slightly more damage to Gyarados, but not enough to 2-shot it. The rest of the battle is completely unchanged from when I was level 40, and I level up in the middle of the battle too, so I can't take care of the Venusaur in one hit either. But the solve for this is extremely easy. Since I've already visited the Pokemon Mansion, I can just teach Blizzard now and use all of my PP ups before this battle. It will make the Gyarados a 2-shot and the Venusaur a 1-shot. The strategy on Sabrina was entirely the same. We try to arrive close to a level up and set up our withdraws on Mr. Mime. Once that is done, we are then faster than everything and our attack stat is passable enough to 1-shot the Alakazam. Of course, this strategy is quite luck-based because I'm banking that I'm close to a level up or recently leveled up. Our level up in the early game at Mount Moon is just entirely random, and that causes consistency to be thrown out the window. After this battle, I then visit the Celadon Mart once again, and the only stat that hasn't reached the limit is the attack and HP stat. So I purchase what I can and move on, but I need to consider revisiting earlier on the next run. Absolutely nothing has changed at Champ 6. Use a rare candy before the battle and then set up all 6 withdrawals on Pidgeot. Once that is done, everything is just a sweep through his entire team. As you guys already know, Lorelei in the Black Belt can manage to be beat nearly 10 levels lower. Agatha isn't going to improve over 2 Surfs for the Gengar, but I still have to use my rare candies before Agatha so that way I can 2-shot the Gengar. Lance, however, doesn't change despite having Blizzard. Blizzard still appears to be a 3-hit KO, and I'm still being outsped by 3 points. But there isn't much I can do except arrive at a higher level and possibly another Carbos earlier in the game. Last is the champion, and this has gone from the most difficult battle in the game to as easy as I want it to be. From this battle, you can see that I set up all my withdraws on Pidgeot and make sure that I could one-shot the Alakazam. Then for Rhydon, because my defense is so high, I can waste off a bunch of moves here and bump my special enough to be able to one-shot the Gyarados and the rest of the team. In hindsight, I spent too long in this battle setting up badge boosts, but in the moment, it didn't feel as long as it actually took. But of course, 554 speed and 990 special was more than enough to one-shot everything else. This is about it for the learning run, and I think I did discover a few more things that I can improve upon. But for the most part, the things I learned weren't actually any new moves. It was mostly that I should pick up extra rare candy and make sure that at certain parts of the game, I have the right amount of experience before leveling up. Also, to teach Blizzard earlier. Let's see if we can put it all together and improve on the next run. Future Steve here. The next part of the video was actually put off an entire day because I was reviewing my footage and noticed that the game time was missing. After a consultation from Scott's Thoughts, I got the problem fixed and started the next run. But not everything we learned was fresh in my mind. First, we're going to start off by grabbing our level 5 Omanyte and naming it Lord Helix once again. The first battle is once again just a bunch of water guns, and there's literally no way he can win. Brock is of course easy once again, as Water Gun makes this battle quite a joke. I now arrive at Champ 2 at level 21. This is unfortunate, as I really wish I could get there by level 22. There's not a big difference in the extra level, but it's just less training I'll have to do before Misty. 2 sand attacks isn't very ideal, but we make our way through to the Bulbasaur at 44 HP. Unfortunately, we're just missing left and right, and the battle just lasts so long that he has time to use 2 Vine Whips and cause the first reset. On the very next attempt, we arrived at Bulbasaur once again at 54 HP and 2 sand attacks. Now this time, I try out the bide strategy that I used last time. The first bide unfortunately only does 2 damage, but the next bide then endures a Vine Whip, and the next turn it hits and takes out Bulbasaur. After finishing off every trainer and doing a few minutes of training, I once again arrived in Misty at level 27. The Staryu battle is of course a 4-hit because I didn't get very good luck on ranges. But then we arrived to Starmie at 50 HP thanks to an X defend. We then attempt to use Bide, but the first attack she gets in is a Bubble Beam, and we just don't have enough HP to take out Starmie now. On the next attempt, we make it to Starmie at 50 HP again, and her Water Gun leaves us at 39 HP for our first Bide to go off. She then proceeds to use Water Gun twice and Bubble Beam once, leaving us at 5 HP, so our Bide will hit for 68. More than enough for the win. Of course, the next battle with Champ 3 isn't very difficult once again. Bubble Beam is more than Pidgeotto can handle. Same thing with Raticate. Body Slam is more than good enough for Kadabra at this point. Ivysaur only uses a Leech Seed during its one and only turn. Now it's time for Surge. Dude usually steps on his own feet, so I'm not really worried. Voltorb of course goes down to a Bubble Beam once again. Pikachu with its abysmal defenses goes down to a Body Slam. Raichu starts off with an X speed, as my first Body Slam does slightly more than half. Then Raichu uses a Thunderbolt, and this should be it. But of course, it paralyzes, and I become fully paralyzed. Then the next turn, another Thundershock doesn't do a whole lot, and we're fully paralyzed once again. Then on the next turn, another Thundershock goes off, and we survive. But once again are fully paralyzed. I mean, you can't make this up. Then a Thunderbolt then finishes us off. On the following attempt, Raichu hits us with a Thunderbolt, and then Thundershock. On the next attempt, a Thunderbolt then crits and takes us out in one hit. After that, it's a Thunderbolt, X speed, and another Thunderbolt. But on the next attempt, he uses an X speed and then a Thundershock, and we get 2 good ranges and finish it off in only 2 attacks. I mean, what gives, Surge? You're usually a pushover. I actually skipped this battle last time because it wasn't an issue before, but the next battle here is against the Rapping Lass. For those of you who do not know, there's a Lass before Rock Tunnel that has 2 Oddish and 2 Bellsprout. The goal of this trainer is to stun spore you with Oddish, and then afterwards trap you in Wrap with Bellsprout, then rinse and repeat a second time with the same Pokemon. But the Oddish Absorb really hurts, and the Bellsprout gives us goosebumps until it misses. We do get the win, but man, it was much closer than expected. Next is the last trainer in Rock Tunnel, the one that nobody ever talks about. I ran out of body slams and was forced to use Bubble Beam on Oddish as it puts us to sleep and then proceeds to start massacring me with Absorb. Luckily, the sleep ended just early enough to take it out with 5 HP left. Being paralyzed, we go second against Pidgey. Pidgey then uses Sand Attack, and now I have to beat out Paralysis and an accuracy drop or be sent back all the way to Surge. I get fully paralyzed and it's all over. Pidgey uses Quick Attack and it only does a measly 1 damage. And our next attack manages to finish it off. Boy, that was close. Thank God for the rock typing in this matchup, plus the badge boost to our defense thanks to Sand Attack. After seeing how much stat XP I earned from the practice run, I noticed that I could squeeze out another Carbos and buy 2. As well as 2 calcium. This will make it so later on in the challenge when I revisit to buy more vitamins, I won't hit the cap when I pick up the end of game vitamins in the Pokemon Mansion. Champ 4 is next, and it's of course not a challenge once again. I also know not to use Body Slam anymore on Gyarados, as Ice Beam is just straight up more effective. Now I skipped the heal after Rock Tunnel to try and save time, forcing me to use Ice Beam on Kadabra. Oh, a second freeze is really cool, and we get through Champ 4 in a flash. As we learned from last time, Koga is just a freebie to us. Coughing number 1 once again survives the first surf, but Tackle does nothing. Muck, as expected, takes slightly more than half from a surf and it poisons us. For the next coughing, it's 100% identical to the first coughing, but surprisingly, this one goes down in 1 hit and we get to ignore the poison damage. Wheezing is next and the surf does less than half. I don't remember if it was doing that little before, but as we already know, we'll easily survive an X-Attack self-destruct, so I'm not really worried. We of course eventually get the win and work our way towards Blaine next, as we know Champ 5 is too difficult. With Surf and the Soul Badge in hand, we now surf to Cinnabar Island. Blaine doesn't really go too differently, but now we finally get to see how much damage some of his moves will actually do. The Fire Spin from Rapidash doesn't do much, even with a crit. Then Arcanine's Fire Blast only does 26 damage, with a crit! This couldn't have gone any better for Blaine, and he still didn't stand a chance. Erica's next, and as we mentioned before, we outspeed and one-shot all of her Pokemon. Doing the 4th gym this late isn't ideal, but taking a Razor Leaf or Petal Dance would probably still one-shot us, so I need to make sure that I one-shot them first. Next up is Champ 5, and I don't click the down button enough times and use a Body Slam on Pidgeot. The next attack, I correct the mistake and finish it off with an Ice Beam. For Gyarados, I use an Ice Beam and it doesn't even do half. Hydro Pump hits for less than expected, but still a lot. The next Ice Beam then crits and takes us out of a bad situation. Growlithe is a breath of fresh air and a one-shot with Surf. Now I level up after the Growlithe, but I wish I could have done beforehand. Alakazam then crits a Psybeam and leaves us on really low HP, as another Body Slam doesn't nearly do as much as expected. After battling some optional trainers to level up and teach Blizzard over Ice Beam, we finally come back for a rematch. After setting up twice with Withdrawal, I don't dare test my Sand Attack luck any further and finish it off on the next attack. Now, I'm clearly doing more than half on Gyarados, so teaching Blizzard in a small amount of setup was worth it. Gyarados is then taken care of, and Growlithe is a perfect target to finish setting up on to make sure that the rest of the Pokemon don't get a chance to finish me off. Alakazam is taken care of with a Surf. Body Slam probably would have been better though. Venusaur is then easily taken care of with a Blizzard. Thanks to Gamehook, I can now tactically buy all of the vitamins I am still able to use. So I buy 1 Calcium, 2 Protein, and 3 HP ups. Not something I would have done without this information, and cost 30 seconds, so we'll see if it'll be worth it. On to the Fighting Dojo next, and then shortly afterwards, Sabrina. Kadabra outspeeds and hits me with a massive critical hit Psychic before I can take it out and get to my setup target. For Mr. Mime, I plan to fully set up, but after 4 withdraws, I think I've tested my luck enough and decide to finish it off. But of course, a light screen causes it to survive my first Surf. Venomoth can't handle the power of my Surf. Alakazam is next, and we outspeed with 4 badge boosts, but Body Slam just isn't enough to take it out. But it then uses Psywave, and it does 5 damage. and we get a lucky random roll for the victory. Now, we obviously know that we'll beat Giovanni as he was never a problem in the previous runs, but we'll play it out anyways. Rhyhorn is no issue with Surf. Dugtrio then outspeeds and uses a dig, so our Surf then misses. Dig is double effective against us, and it crits and leaves us at 11 HP. Surf then takes care of it and brings us to Nidoqueen. Thankfully, Surf takes care of Nidoqueen, because I was really scared in the moment that it wouldn't one-shot it. Nidoking's not nearly as defensive as Nidoqueen, so Surf takes it out as well. Rhydon is of course slow and easily taken care of with a Surf. I was really sweating bullets after that dig hit us, but luckily we handled the rest of the team well. This actually left me close to another level up before Champ 6, so I opt to fly to the Pokemon Manage and finish the level off. This was a bit slower than I expected as the encounters would just not show up, costing me loads of time. But that final level up will mean that the rare candy we picked up in the Rocket Hideout will get us the champion at one higher of a level. For Champ 5, however, we get a free setup on Pidgeot, and as you'd expect, we sweep the rest of the team. Blizzard takes care of Pidgeot, Surf finishes off Rhyhorn, Gyarados did manage to go down to a Blizzard, but I was unsure of that one. Rowlet is just useless in this run. Alakazam is then outsped in one-shot with Body Slam. What? It survived? That doesn't bode well for the champion. Then Venusaur is taken care of with a Blizzard. Okay, so I use all my rare candies before Lorelei, and we enter with a big statistical edge over the first run. Just like last time, Dugong won't use any move other than rest, so we can easily set up. Of course, we're not going to one-shot it, so we finish it off with 3 Surfs. As expected, we won't one-shot Cloyster either, and for the same reason, it only uses Clamp because Rock is weak to water. Slowbro will use either Water Gun or Withdraw. Surf will be a 2-shot here as well. Jinx, I don't learn my lesson from the testing run and use Body Slam, but it crits, so I'm not punished for it. There's no way to do any better against Lapras, but 3 Surfs will do the trick. We get a lucky Hydro Pump miss, but it won't matter as we win with lots of HP to spare. The Black Belt hasn't been an issue since Primeape, and he's going to continue not being an issue once again. His Pokemon are either weak to Surf or have low specials, so it really doesn't matter what moves I use. In the end, the only thing that gets a chance is Machamp as usual, but it uses a Focus Energy again, and we win without being hit. Agatha is next, and she starts off with a nasty Nightshade, followed by another Nightshade, not giving us much HP for the rest of the battle. Goldbat then confuses us, and despite fighting our way through it, we still miss a Blizzard. Luckily, Wing Attack does nothing, as our next Blizzard then takes it out. Haunter's next, as our Surf then hits the switched out Arbok, leaving it on a sliver. I decide to start setting up here. I am then able to get 4 withdrawals off before deciding that my special is high enough to try and get through the rest of the battle. I of course didn't realize I was going to level up at that moment, and Haunter then outspeeds and uses a Hypnosis. It misses, and our Surf then hits. It doesn't knock it out, and then it of course confuses me again. We then fight through the confusion and finish it off. Gengar then tries to confuse us once again as our Surf does slightly more than half. Gengar then reconfuses us, but we use up all of our luck and we hit ourselves. But then Gengar tries Confuse Ray once again, and we fight through the confusion to get a very unlikely win. At any point during that battle, Haunter or Gengar could have took us out with a Nightshade and just straight up didn't. Lance is next, and hopefully our extra level and calcium will make the difference in this battle for Gyarados. Our first Blizzard does slightly less than half, as Hydro Pump then misses and gives us another chance. The next Blizzard then hits, and we get a good range for the KO. We already know how the rest of this battle will go, but did anyone else notice that we were able to outspeed Gyarados? Yeah, that extra level and vitamins really made the difference in this run. Even the only Pokemon left to get a chance to attack me only uses a takedown that ends up missing. So a flawless Lance has got to be quite rare. Everything has culminated in this moment as we are banking that this extra level will hopefully cause us not to level up on Venusaur. We start with our withdraw setup on Pidgeot that cannot really damage us much outside of getting a critical hit. It actually does less damage than usual with some extra mirror moves as we then take it out with Blizzard after the first one misses. Alakazam doesn't stand a chance as our Body Slam is able to take it out this time. We are over 10 levels higher than last time, so that's why it's a one-shot this time. Anyways, by now, our special stat has gone up from 391 to 787 because of us fishing for some extra leers from Rhydon. Now, for Gyarados, we shouldn't have an issue taking it out with a Blizzard, unless it of course crits. But a freeze bails us out. Arcanine is of course a joke as usual for Omanyte. Venusaur then takes a Blizzard, and this makes us the champion of the Pokemon League. We finish the game at level 68 with 109 real time, 427 game time, and 7 resets. Now, this run was a whole lot cleaner than the first run. There were some things in the second run that absolutely compiled a lot of extra time that I didn't foresee. Grabbing those extra vitamins were probably not needed, and on the first attempt, I brute forced a few of the battles, skipping the slower setup style for badge boosting. But I also lost on the last Pokemon a lot more. Some of these resets nearly took 30 seconds, but the strategy I think was as good as I could possibly make it. That one extra level in the champion made the battle night and day different. As for the rankings, it's a very difficult subject. The time I achieved puts in the A tier, but the Misty and champion brick wall forced me to overlevel. I literally have no other choice but to start the champion battle at level 67. No amount of overleveling would make the B tier Pokemon better, but it could affect Venomoth and Porygon. This has caused me to realize there's actually a rift in my rankings where I need to separate some of the Pokemon on the tier list. The B tier has now moved to the C tier, and Venomoth and Porygon have been moved to the B tier. Omanyte being played correctly deserves an A tier rating. Emphasis on being played correctly. Many Pokemon don't have a point where they can be played correctly, just simply because of the way they were designed. I know that certain Pokemon be very different to other Pokemon, and because of the nature of the tier list, everything will be started too high. I think this is a fair rating, and it's possible that Pokemon will come along that make me realize something different as I do more first form Pokemon. After all, I mean, Beedrill and Butterfree were probably not going to be B tier Pokemon for long anyways. Thanks to the comments from all of my previous videos, I have chosen to do Vileplume next. If you'd like a Pokemon to be done, make sure to comment on this or any of my other videos. If you have suggestions for a challenge, ways to improve my strategy, maybe even a way to improve the quality of my videos, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. My channel is always improving, and every video I plan to bring you even better content. Keep the suggestions coming, and I look forward to bringing you another video.